On this episode, we speak about the power of words. Listen in as we discover our supernatural ability to co-create life and what we hear, see, taste, touch, and smell. Grab a pen and paper and get ready to learn how to properly use our gift of speech right here on LifeClub.
I'm Tashima Jones. Welcome to LifeClub. I genuinely believe personal development unlocks the door to the abundant and wonderful life we all already have. I also believe we must be intentional about seeking out that life in order to find and fulfill it. I am so grateful your journey of discovery has led you all the way here. Let's keep moving forward together. Once again, welcome to Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. Yes, you are tuned in to a Life Club. I am super excited to be here as always. I look forward to sharing and connecting with each of you every single week. To do this is truly a joy and one that I consider a privilege. Thanks so much for rocking with me on Life Club. And thanks to WHCR for believing in my dreams, and to all of our listeners on our podcast, which can be found on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, and so many more. Thanks to all of our listeners in New York, LA, and abroad. We are hashtag low-key international, so I'm super duper excited. So today we are speaking about the power of words. We operate in the invisible realm daily. Even our sense of smell reveals this parallel universe we operate in. Much of what we smell, we do not see, yet the sense of it lets us know that the origin of that scent is near. Think about when you hear a song or watch a movie and that scene or that melody raises the hairs on your arms or gives your body chills. Words have power. Maya Angelou, on this amazing installment of Iconoclast, she had an interview with Dave Chappelle. It's really, really great. I encourage you guys to check it out. She defined words, and I will forever remember the definitions. She said, words are things. You must be careful about calling people out of their names, using racial slurs and sexual pejoratives, and all that ignorance. Don't do that. Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. They get on the walls, they get in your wallpaper, they get in your rugs and in your upholstery and your clothes, and finally into you. Hashtag bars.
That's a fact.
Like, we just got to take a deep breath on that, because when I heard her say that, I am like, she literally made words in that definition come to life. It was an amazing moment during that interview. And we have to agree that words have power. So on today's show, we are going to take a deeper look into why that power exists and how we can use our words for good. So, I'm a little interesting. And I have these moments of spiritual awakening. And this is nothing short of one of those moments. So over time, I always say, once we know the definition of a thing, we are better equipped to use them. So something just dropped into my spirit, and it was the word sono. And it was followed up by sonogram. So I'm like, OMG, I gotta figure this out, because this means something. So I did a little studying, and the word sono, S-O-N as in Nancy, O, means sound.
Okay.
And then gram is an image, whether written or drawn, like telegram, like Instagram.
Yeah.
So those two words put together are sound and image. Now, it gets even realer, right? When you think about sonogram, you think about a woman carrying a baby.
I was about to say, what you got to say, sis?
Bro, so you get this image, right? So I'm like, all right, so ultrasound. Well, what is that? Well, I'm glad you asked. ultrasounds or sonography is an imaging method that uses high frequency sound waves that are not heard by the human ear, used to produce images of structures within your body.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to do my best to break that down. So, you know the little monitor they use to rub on your belly? They grease you up with that cold, clear liquid.
Yes.
And they put the little thing, you know, on your stomach. So what that device is doing is it's emitting ultrasound waves. We can't hear it, but it's emitting ultrasound waves into the mother's womb. And what those sound waves are doing are they're literally being directed to organs in your body, and then your organs are sending back a picture of what they look like.
Got it. Wow. Okay.
Like, it's so deep that you're going to have to go home and like really think about it yourself. But that's what it is. Now, when you think about a photographs and how we get those things, you know, photo, the root word of that is light. So pictures and photos that we take with our phones, or remember those disposable cameras, those images are created through light. So photo means light, and graph, like we said, is a picture. It's an image. So even when you're developing film, you have to be in a really dark room and you have a specific light to really produce that image that's picked up. Come on, this is like bars right now. This is like bars right now. Like, this is spiritual bars. I'm just saying, like, I gotta say it. So the same is true for sonogram. Now, the amazing thing, and this is all going to link back to our words. So, sonogram, again, it's sound. Our words are sound, right?
Yes,
can we all agree on that?
Agree.
It's like, that to me is amazing. Like, how I can speak and like something comes out. Like, did you ever really think about that? Did you ever think about that?
What you say? Yeah.
Like,
I kind of, I get it.
it's amazing. It's really amazing. So going back to ultrasound, sound waves are literally projecting images back to us, right? So when you speak, you are giving off sound, and you are going to manifest the things that you say. Scientifically, you can see that in an ultrasound, how literally sound waves are reflecting and beaming on this fetus inside of you, and it's sending back an image. So when you put words out there into the atmosphere with your sound, you are going to physically manifest those things that you're saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Do you get it? Like, do you see the reality of this? Right? So that in itself proves, like, scientifically proves the power of sound, aka speech. Now, what we have to really take into consideration, and what we have to really, I guess, admit to in ourselves, is that there is so much going on in this natural earth that we cannot see. Because can you even see sound?
No.
However, technically we can, because I'm so spiritual. I'm so spiritually nosy. Like, if I hear something in my spirit, I'm like, nah, I gotta see this. When you think about the sonic boom, again, I encourage you to look up the sonic boom and video footage. So the sonic boom is this idea of breaking the sound barrier. Now, there's a jet that goes super, 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 super duper fast into the Earth's atmosphere, and it reaches a point that it breaks through the sound barrier where you can physically see just wave of white. I don't even know what to call it. Just this wave of whiteness, and it makes a sound. So when that jet breaks through the sound barrier, you hear a sonic boom. It's just like a pop. So we have to understand that there are so many dimensions, there's so many levels to where we live and where we exist here on earth. We cannot deny that. I truly believe that I just have proven this through this idea of the sonogram and ultrasound. Again, ultrasound is high frequency waves that we cannot hear with our natural ear, but they are present and they are active. And every time you look at a sonogram, I hope that you remember this moment.
Yes, I sure will. Because you made me see it in a different light, I guess, different picture.
Heard you light picture. Come on. Look, you even using the language that we teaching with right now. So, understanding this reality, understanding that there is power in your words, whether it's through a song, whether it's through a movie, whether it's through just a conversation. We have to acknowledge the fact that sound, that our speech, that our words cause an effect. They cause an impact on the people that we're speaking to, and even in our personal lives. We have to admit this. And we also have, through this, you have to admit that there's so much more going on than we can naturally see. So we have to eventually get out of this 5 sensory life that we live in. And I truly believe that that is the key to manifesting the things that you desire, but also living life on a higher plane with everything that goes on in our world today. Some of us just want to hashtag get out. Like, whether it's in your personal life or whether it's in just society and culture in general, you have to get off of that 5 sensory space of living. You have to go above and beyond. And the only way you get to that level is when you acknowledge that there's so much more going on than what you can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell.
Yeah.
That was all 5 of them, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget.
You and I both.
Because I'm on a whole nother level.
You got it. Yes.
So we have to understand that there's this reality above what it is that we see. There's this reality above where, like, just above Earth in general. And in order to get to that space, you have to come to terms with these things that are going on in our lives and in the space that we occupy. It is super duper important for you to elevate your thinking. I think too often we get stuck in our circumstances. We get stuck in this way of living because we're not getting in tune with who we are on the inside. We're not really recognizing how we feel and our paradigm towards life. Again, because we're operating in this 5 sensory realm. So many people wake up every single day and they literally live this robotic life, aka life in the matrix is what I call it. And we literally have this schedule. We wake up, we eat, we have breakfast, we go to work, we go to school, we come home and do it all over again. And the more you stay in that space, the more, I believe, distant you become to this space of the universe, of life that is so much bigger, again, than what we can see, so much bigger than what we experience. And the key to that is, again, admitting that there's something more. And I think the best way to admit that is to listen to that internal voice on the inside of you. It's really taking into consideration what it is that you're feeling, the hunches that you may have, the thoughts that you may have. I always say, if you think in the same way you were thinking 5-10 years ago, then you're not truly living. Because anything, again, thank you, and anything that isn't growing is dead. And you have to recognize that if a tree stops growing, it's no longer living. And what we don't recognize is that the only reason why trees stop growing is because we cut them down. We do things in our human mindset to things that are natural or even supernatural, and we don't understand that we are shortening that lifespan of a thing. Just think about the food that we eat. Like, we consume so many things that aren't alive. And I always say, I'm not going to pour soda on my plant. So why would I consume it in my body? I mean, every now and then I do take a sip of soda. But when you start to become aware of this consciousness, you do it less and less because you recognize that you are a living being. Therefore, you have to feed your body and feed your mind things that produce life. Yes, we are talking about words. I don't want to lose the conversation because you know I could talk. So going back to this thing about words and the power in those words. Once we recognize, okay, my words have power, then you go to the next level of reconstructing your conversation. You know, there's some people that I just can't talk to. Like a hi and a bye. How you doing? I'm good. Got Keep you. Heard you. And that's not to say anything negative about the person, but you have to be mindful of the company that you keep because you will rub off on them. And I haven't cracked this code yet, but I don't know why the negative tends to rub off a little bit more than the positive does. Because,
Yeah,
you'd be like,
it
well, I'm a good person. I could be in this atmosphere and change everybody's lives. And before you know it, you're doing the same thing that they're doing. What were you going to say?
Now, I was gonna say you could feel it too. Like when somebody's just being negative, it just rubs off.
And
It's like gotta be away.
It's so true. That is so true. Like when you're in conversations, you have to listen. You have to discover your frequency. You know what I mean? And once you are aware of your vibe and your frequency, and then you feel that shift, that's the moment where you got to just end the call.
Yeah.
Because eventually it'll rub off onto you, like Miss Maya said, and it'll get inside of you. The word's gonna crawl on your chair. It's gonna crawl on your arm. When you have that picture, it's like, yo, like I don't even want to be in this photo right now. I don't want to be in this room, because it's so true. You have to be in tune with your vibe. You have to be in tune with your frequency. And it's so funny because I feel like people might be listening to this and be like, what are you talking about? And that's why I truly believe that that message was delivered to me in a scientific or tangible way, so that people can understand it and you can connect to it. This is nothing weird. This is not out of the normal. And you have to, and I repeat, you have to be aware of the things and the words that are being spoken into your life, whether by you or by somebody else. You have to use the power of words for good and not for evil. It is so vital, so important for us to be connected to the self, to the inner being that's on the inside, so that we can truly produce the life, the relationships, the financial space, and anything creative that's on the inside of you, so that we can truly produce those things. And they all start with your words. Words have energy.
Amen.
Just think about Wi-Fi. Like, you believe in Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
Can you see Wi-Fi? Like, whoever saw Wi-Fi.
That's how I have to think about it. Like,
but you know it exists.
it works. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the wind? But you feel it when it blows.
It's just working out by, I don't know, the waves or.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, that's how we getting it through the phone. The waves out.
It's so true. Again, I repeat, be mindful of your words. Be mindful of the things that are not necessarily seen. And that's the other part of this reality. It's understanding that the only reason why you think the way that you think and why you say what you say is because it was spoken to you. In your household, in your community, in your schools, on your jobs. Everything that you believe was spoken to you. So there comes a point in your life where you have to switch your paradigm. You have to shift gears and recognize that the only reason why I'm thinking this is because my mother said it, or because my father said it, or because my friends or their friends, or I heard this from somewhere. That's why when you think about a song, you see how quick songs get stuck in your mind?
Yep.
Especially with a good beat.
Hello. The hook, the harmony, all that.
Exactly. And those words produce something in you. They produce a feeling that eventually produces in action. Go to a party and listen to the soundtrack of that party and watch the people and how they respond. It shifts you. It shifts your energy. It shifts your state of mind, and it shifts your actions. And once you put a thought, an idea, words into action, you manifest things. So one of the things we have to do, and we have to be real about this thing, is sit ourselves down and say, what have I been saying? What is the story that I have been repeating to myself over and over and over again, and connect that to your life? I am a product of a renewed mind and a renewed conversation. I was at an event over the weekend and I was asked, well, where were you 12 years ago? And I literally have an image of where I was 12 years ago, and how, not only how I look, but I truly believe the physical part of me was manifesting all of the toxicity and turmoil that was on the inside of me. And I look at 12 years ago, and then I look at where I am now. And it was at that moment of 12 years ago where I started to change my speech, and I started to change how I was thinking, and I started to change the things that I was doing, because what I was producing wasn't favorable in my life. And I wasn't even the most negative person, you know. I had hope, but it wasn't hope in action. it was, I wish, I really hope this happens, but I wasn't truly believing it. And that's the thing. Oftentimes we say certain things with negative vibrations. And that's something I want to get into. Okay. I hope y'all learning from this conversation today. If you were just tuning in, I know, as my friend would say, it's some fat on your brain. And you got to just learn how to digest it. If you're just tuning in, this is a Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. I got my homegirl, Brianna, in the building. We are speaking about the power of words. And we had a low-key impromptu guest joining us, Mr. Wally. How you doing?
How you doing today?
Good. So happy to have you join us on the second half.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So the teacher and me has to kind of, go over what we talked about thus far. We spoke about this idea of a sonogram and how sono means sound and gram means an image, whether written or drawn, and how together they create an image using sound waves. And those sound waves, aka ultrasound, are not heard by the natural ear. However, they do exist. Those sound waves are beamed into a mother's womb, and then what's produced by those organs is an image. They emit an image back to us so that we can see our cute little beings that are growing on the inside of us. Okay, and that is linked to the power of our words, because we create sound. And even the idea of language itself, even the idea of how we pronounce certain things, we can say the same thing in a different tone and have an entirely different meaning and impact on our emotions, our thoughts, and even our physical bodies. So I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into us using our words for good and speaking things into existence. I mentioned earlier about how songs produce feelings and they produce certain states of thought and of mind, and they eventually produce actions. We all have been out to the club not even gonna say in my former life. I might go out every now and then. And if you just sat back and looked at how the crowd responds to a DJ's playlist, you will see how it changes people's behavior. You put on a trap song, you're gonna get a certain response. You put on a pop song, you're going to get a different response. You put on an R&B, hip hop, every genre of music has an impact on how we behave. Yep. And an even deeper impact on how we think. Some people walk off the dance floor when certain music comes on. Certain people come to the dance floor with when certain music comes on. And then you have that person who just stays on the dance floor like all night. For the sake of this conversation, we have to recognize that the lyrics of those songs have an even deeper impact than the beat. You know, everybody say it's a good beat, but they cursing you out. It's like, how you rocking to this? And they really just telling you off, but the beat sounds good. However, it's the words that we need to be mindful of. So when we are in everyday life, in everyday interaction, we have to be mindful of the words that we choose to use, whether it's our inner self-talk, whether it's the conversations that we have with our children or around our children, the words that you have on the job, and just in your everyday conversations, the words that you use on social media. Because sometimes social media reveals a lot that we never thought existed in a person, right? The words that we use, right?
No,
for text messaging, all of those things. We have to be mindful of those things. And when you are equipped with the reality of the power of your words, you are better equipped in using them. So, the first time conversation occurs during the day is when?
Greetings?
Greetings, okay, when?
Oh, yeah, right? I think that, yeah, basically.
Right, it's a pop quiz, I'm sorry, y'all. I want to say when you first open your eyes. Imagine the conversations that you have in your mind the moment you wake up.
Ugh, I gotta go to work. That's when my whole mood shifts. Like,
The moment you wake up is when the power of words starts. And honestly, it never really ends. Because when you think about it, sometimes you have dreams about the day you just had. It's like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean?
You can still be thinking in your dreams too, subconsciously. You wake up realizing it.
That's a whole that's a whole conversation.
Yeah.
That's a whole show. That's a whole show. But it's so very true. And when you wake up in the morning, you have to set your mind to how you want the conversation of the day to start and end. And again, we have to look at our day, or our words, our conversation being like those ultrasound waves, aka your thoughts. Because they are not apparent to our physical senses. Nobody can see what you're thinking, but you're thinking. You're having thoughts. You're having thoughts right now. Somebody's thinking about ice cream. Somebody's thinking about what they're going to cook for dinner. Somebody's thinking about their marriage, or somebody's thinking about their dreams. We're constantly thinking. And those are conversations that we're having on the inside of us. Again, get outside of that 5 sensory realm and transfer over into this multi-sensory realm, which acknowledges the things that we can't see. Ultrasound waves are not heard by the natural ear. Neither are your thoughts. Because you could sit in silence and hear a lot. Have you ever had a situation, right? And you was planning your argument? You was like, all right, when I see her, when I see him, this is all in your mind. I'm going to say this.
I'm gonna say.
I'm going to do that. This is all in your mind. Like, she going to say this to me, and then I'm going to come back with this. Like, you're having this conversation about the conversation that you want to have in the natural. You're having a conversation. And it might be an imagined conversation, and imagination, again, whole nother show. Image, nation. Spiritual bars. Image nation. It's a nation of images rolling through your head. These pictures of what you want to project or what you want to see in, like,
Lord, okay.
Like, I feel the energy right now.
Trying to take it all in.
Like, I feel the energy right now. Oh, let me bring it down because I get so excited. Like, I feel like I'm about to cry. I'm so happy. No, for real. I feel like I'm about to cry right now because I'm just excited to have this conversation. So, conversation starts when you wake up, when you become conscious. That's a whole show. But when you wake up, when you become 5 sensory self-conscious, we have to tap in to the ultrasound consciousness, the consciousness that we do not see, right? And then we have to wake up, we open our eyes, and then we have to get acclimated to, like, the natural world because we just came out of, like, spirit. Like, we just came out of spirit. Yo, it's, like, so much going on in my... You get what I'm saying? Like, we just came out of spirit realm, right? Can we all agree to that? So we were dreaming, la la land. Okay. And then it's like, all right, I'm awake. You ever wake up and not know what day it is?
Yeah, of course.
Or time? It's like, oh my gosh. So you got to give yourself time to get acclimated. Okay, I'm in 5 sensory realm right now. I'm choosing to stay connected to source energy. I'm choosing to stay connected to spirit. I'm choosing to stay connected to the inner me, to my core being. And this is how I am going to project into this 5 sensory realm what I choose to see in the natural. So I want to project ultrasound waves by speaking them forward, and I want to create an image in the natural realm. That's like #bars.
You just made another show too, because that you just mentioned perception. Like, everyone's perception when you wake up, you gotta control that what you see. So that's another show too, right there.
Like,
jeez,
bars.
10 shows she made in one
I'm just, like,
conversation.
overwhelmed with joy right now. I'm just overwhelmed with joy. So, just speaking about words. So, when we wake up in the morning, we rise, we have to tell ourselves, I understand what I'm seeing in the natural. And I truly believe we've been trained out of the supernatural world. I truly believe that we have been trained to see the vision of people that came before us, and we don't, it's almost as if we've been disempowered to create a new vision or to tap into the vision that was created for us to produce. So when you go to work and when you go to school, you have to recognize that you are living in the vision of people who came before you. And that can mean, you know, politics. That can mean society and culture. That can mean your family. There's so many people who are forced into the family business and don't even want to be there. So we have to really understand how we are moving, and I want to say moving and shaking, but how we're moving through life. So when you wake up in the morning, that ultrasound wave conversation is starting to brew. You have to take authority over it, and you have to set the tone for your day, aka your life, because life is truly just this never-ending day that we are existing in. So you think about it. You say, I choose to do affirmations, to do prayers, and I write out my prayers and I leave them next to where I sleep, so that when I wake up, just literally this morning, I put a sticky note that I can see as soon as I wake up that says, do not wander, pray. Because when you wake up, you're wandering. You're like, oh, I'm up, and your thoughts are just everywhere. And what we have to do is use the power of our words to set the tone of our day, aka to set the tone of our perception and the tone of our mind. So one of the things that people get caught up in is the things that we cannot control. Things happen. However, your response to what happens is important, as well as your expectation, because sometimes we don't even set our expectations for good in order to receive good. And we have to do that. That's a must. And like I said, I am a product of this reality, a product of meditating on a word so much so that it becomes true. And we all have the ability and the authority to actually do that, but we aren't using it. Again, we're caught up in the 5 sensory realm. We're caught up in what other people are telling us life should be like, look like, feel like, taste like, not really acknowledging the fact that you are an independent unit, part of this bigger total thing. So like the hand cannot do what the eye does. You cannot see with your hand. You can feel with it, and that can be, I guess, an idea of seeing. But the hand can never do what the eye can do. And I can't do what you do. And you can't do what I do. So we have to understand that while we live in this societal and I guess this universe of individuals, we are all operating as one, but fulfilling the call and the purpose on our lives. And purpose is life. It's not obtaining this thing. Purpose is in your everyday life and your everyday interactions with people. Purpose is life. So tapping into your purpose is so important, and it goes beyond what you do and how you look and where you're from. It is your energy. It's that ultra sound wave that you're putting out there. Y'all know I could talk. Does anybody want to add? Because I feel like
it all in.
I'm starting to. I think I'm starting to see in the multisensory realm into your ultrasound waves.
Yeah.
You want to add to this conversation, my brother?
The only thing that I want to say to you is that you said something about when you said that the first words that you say when you wake up is in your mind, and I think that's very true. Then you said that you pray. I also found that waking up and praying first sets, like you said, everything in motion, your words in motion. So it changes my day to me when I wake up and pray first and thank God for another day, then when I just wake up and start moving. So I commend you on that. You definitely 100% agree with you about what you're saying.
It's so true. And I think the reason why babies come out crying is because they didn't have that setup, like that transition. It was like, I'm in my mother's womb and then I'm out. And the same is true for us when we wake up. It's like, if you don't have that moment of transition from, again, the ultrasound wave realm to this 5 sensory realm, you aren't anchored. You aren't centered. So now you're in reactive mode instead of creation mode. You that's what it is. The same words that are used in the same letters are used in these 2 words, creation and reaction. You can either create your day or you can react to it.
Okay. Yes.
spirit bars, like spiritual bars, like hashtag
Bars.
spirit. But it's so true. Like you're either reacting to your day or you are creating your day. And I call myself, and we truly all are co-creators, because there is a higher power that is coaching us and training us and teaching us in the way that we should go. But we have this responsibility to create our environments and to set the tone in our environments, go into the matrix. Now I'm officially a citizen of the multisensory realm. Like, it's just official. Like, I'm out of the matrix. So now when I walk down the street, I remember the first day I recognized it. I'm like, yo, this doesn't even look real. And I started to see Harlem and just everywhere I go as like Tinseltown, like a set. Like you're at a studio. And these buildings are like just structures that were made by humans. Like even the trees now were put there. Like it's not even natural.
Yeah.
You like, you know, so it's like, this is a set, right?
Exactly.
This is a set. Now you're either going to be part of the production team and you might be sitting in the co-director's chair, or you're going to be one of the actors. Okay. And I'd rather be behind the scenes. I mean, yeah, you get your face there, you could give out autographs, but I want like my name in them production credits. That's just me. And when you are on the productions team, when you're on the behind the scenes team, you're able to see certain things. And one of the major things is that you're able to co-create this image.
Yeah.
With spirit being like the author, the main director, the writer, everything, like you are able to see things before they happen, or you're able to avoid certain situations. So many of us are going through problems that were so avoidable if we were tuned in and tapped on to what spirit is saying. And that is going all the way back to the power of words, having that internal dialogue between yourself and spirit, and then having that conversation with yourself in general. Being real with yourself and being aware of your self-talk is so vital to opening yourself up to the reality of the dreams that you hold on the inside of you. Because if you tell yourself, I can't have that, you won't have it. If you tell yourself, I can't experience that, you won't experience it. And again, going back to this week's 1 minute of meditation, and how we have to seek out our yeses. Too many of us are having this conversation of no, you can't do that. You can't experience that. That can't happen for you. So you know what? You're going to go through that revolving door of no. But what I've learned is that yes is a straight path. You can't go backwards. You can't rear to the left or to the right. You are constantly moving forward in life. This feels like a good space to just put a pause, because it's never over. Have we? Into existence. Yes. Have we gained something from this conversation today?
Definitely.
Of course.
Yes.
I will be listening to this podcast.
Play it back, rewind, take some notes, because I'm going to do the same thing. This has felt so very good. Again, this hour, I'm not even going to say it's too short. I feel like it's the perfect time for this season of Life Club. We're just going to do that, right? We're going to recognize the power of our words. Thank you so much to Brianna and to Wally, our impromptu guests. And thanks to you for tuning in. This has been Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. Brianna, where can everybody find you?
Yes, find me on Instagram at AdoreMeBrie_.
Yes, and Wally, where can everybody find you?
You can follow my company at yvmag.com on Instagram.
Heard you. And I am Tashima Jones. You can find me at tashimajones.com. All of my social media and contact information can be found there. Until next time, remember your greatness. Talk soon. I am Tashima Jones, and you've been listening to Life Club. Thank you for tuning in.